Now for the real part of our presentation. You know, Iris is a board member over at Sunday Symposium. Do you guys know that? Do you know she was Volunteer of the Year for Oakmont? Did you know that? Yeah. No shit. I served on the board, communications. Also, that's the OVA board. But Iris also is a former school teacher in Richmond, Virginia, and in the Rough Rock Navajo Reservation for 5 years. She was on the road for 5 years in a band called Shiraz. That'd be a whole nother topic, wouldn't it? Okay. Administrator for Arbitration Association and Women in Community Service for 3 years. Designer and general contractor in Silicon Valley for over 35 years and sold her company to her 40 employees in 2015 and moved to Oakmont to be with friends here. Good move. Oakmont Building Committee Chair for 7 years under 7 different OVA boards. Yeah, really. Firewise Committee Chair, 5 years and current chair. OVA board for 2 years. Welcome Committee, 1 year. Leader of the Oakmont all-female band called More Joy, okay. And she's going to come and talk about an uplifting topic today that you have to have no worries about ever. Iris, come on up in here and tell us how fun it is to get insurance now.
Oakmont, can you hear me? All right. This is a time to be joyful because we have a solution to the problems that we're dealing with. I just want to share my personal journey about trying to get back to having home insurance. But I also wanted to say I'm grateful to Sunday Symposium for allowing me to share this story because it is a personal story. And like you, I'm grateful to have a home, and not everyone does. And it's our job to protect our home. So my hope is that this story will help you when you encounter this home insurance non-renewal issue. How many people here are already in that situation? Raise your hand. Okay. How many people here are expecting this to happen to them in 2025? Okay. Well, I just want to share the steps that I took. And the first thing I did was panic. That's a normal reaction, but I was like, why? And in the South, they spell why, W-H-Y-Y-Y-Y. Why? Why me, Lord? I was chair of the Firewise Task Force. How could they do that to me? I was, had my home on the Firewise tours for 3 or 4 years here in Oakmont. I've done more mitigation than any of my neighbors. And my immediate feeling was just shock. My agent luckily called me, of 30 years, by the way, called me 5 months in advance. They're required to give you 75 days, which is only 2.5 months. But he did want to tell me not to take it personally. He said, your home is the most protected home I have in my entire portfolio. However, this was a corporate decision. And so one of the things that I'm learning from some of the brokers is that people are afraid to open an envelope that says your insurance company. Open your mail because you're going to lose time to fix it. So that was one thing I picked up this week studying this more. Okay, so my next step after panic was research. Now, usually my wife, Ann, handles our insurance. The thing that she asked me is, since as a contractor in the past, how much money should we put in for replacement value if the home goes completely down? Well, that was all I had ever done in the past about insurance because she handles it, and it was lovely. And now, when the non-renewal came up, she said, you're going to have to find somebody for us. So I was dropped into the land of finding insurance. And how many people have read every single word and page of their insurance policy? Nobody. So you're trusting that person that has given that to you for 30 years, not knowing actually what it says. Until your house burns down, then you learn. So I started doing research with local Firewise experts because I am involved in the Firewise work here in Oakmont as a volunteer. I talked to the CEO of FireSafe Sonoma. I talked to OVA friends. I talked to other homeowners further out than Oakmont. There is life beyond Oakmont out there, by the way. And then I did an online search for agents that were highly rated. And I talked with multiple brokers and insurance agents, and some of them I'd get to step 1, step 2, and then they'd say, nope, we can't renew you. My boss said, we can't renew you. So finally, I got one, and I got it from an OVA neighbor here whose house I helped rebuild that went down in 2017. And she had gotten this referral from a broker, from another resident here who I admire greatly. And he knew this broker personally. She's in San Francisco. And she's in a large San Francisco insurance company, like one of the largest in the country. Our expiration date was August 27th. I got the call in April. So the months, then days were dwindling down. I was losing sleep. And waiting is hard, but I had sent them photos, answered lots of questionnaires. And she assured me, I have 12 assistants, you're queued up, we're ready to go. But there's one hitch, and that is you can't go out for bid as a broker to get insurers until 30 days before expiration. And why is that? Why? Why is that? Well, it's because somebody else's insurance was due to expire July 27th, or June 27th, or May 27th. Which order do you think they have to go in? Because they're getting calls every day, 5 or 6 calls a day, every agent, every broker around here. So I had what's called a relapse. My old insurance agent, like an old boyfriend, says, why did we part? I could get you a deal. I can get you the FAIR plan, which I did not want, and another wraparound policy that we're going to add to it so you're completely covered. And I thought, okay, here's a bird in the hand that I know. Here's a bird that's not in my hand that I don't know. So I thought, bird in the hand. So I called to release my broker and say, to be upfront and say, I'm going to go back with my old boyfriend. And quietly, without, she was very calm. She said, look, I'm going to walk you back from the cliff's edge. I know it's hard to wait. I have 30 years experience. I have taught insurance agents for years. I have 12 assistants. I know your house. I've seen all the details. I promise you I will get you 3 offers, and I want you to sleep well at night. You do not have to lose sleep. We are going to take care of this. We're queued up and we're ready to go, but I have to wait till 30 days. So I didn't lose any sleep anymore. For some reason, my gut said, okay, I'm going to trust this person, because I really did not want to be on the California FAIR plan. And we'll talk about that one in a minute. So let me get some water here. The good news is when the 30 days came, the broker did get 3 bids. She threw one out because it wasn't good enough. It wasn't a good offer and it wasn't a good price. But the other 2, she gave me a spreadsheet, and she went through different things so that you would understand the key parts of what you're getting with each one of them. The other thing she warned about is that there's going to be an on-site inspection. So after they give you this insurance, they're going to come after that and just make sure everything you told them, all the pictures, et cetera, are what they are. So, and she gave me a list of things that the insurance company that I chose that I should be prepared for. And that's a copy of this is in the back if you want this. Each insurance company will probably do this, and they may not exactly say the same things, but they'll say similar things. Like this one talks about a propane tank. We don't have big propane tanks out here. But it talked about other things. Okay, so here are the things that she wanted me to hone in on in my decision. The first thing your insurance offer will be is, what is the value of your home if it totally went down and they had to replace it? And I'm advising, based on my experience as a contractor, that you should not underestimate your home value to save a few dollars in the insurance policy, because you're going to have to fight like hell to get any of the money that of any number you put down. You ask anybody who's had to go through this, how many soap bars did you lose? I mean, it can get that bad. So both of the companies that offered us a contract accepted the dwelling value that we put. And try to push them to the maximum. Don't say, like, what is the maximum you're going to let me do? You don't, they got to be more coy than that. I had to defend the number that I put down when the on-site inspector came. How do you know this? Well, I'm a general contractor and I have all the receipts. Oh, okay. All right. So the second thing was personal property. How much are they going to give you for personal property in addition to building your home? So if you took a house and turned it upside down, everything that falls out is your personal property. Now, those things can add up. Even what you have in your refrigerator, we took pictures in 2017. Robin did that for me as she was emptying my refrigerator from spoiled stuff. It's amazing how much you can get for all the stuff you have in your refrigerator. But one of the companies offered 50% of the value of the house in addition to the value of the house for personal property. Now, you will have to fight for it, but we have pictures and videos of every single drawer that we have in the house. Open it, and it's in a safe space in our lockbox. The other third item that you want to pay attention to in comparison shopping is how much will they pay you for upgrading your building code issues. If your house was built in the 80s, I can guarantee you're going to have to, when they rebuild it, they can't build it like it was because it doesn't meet today's code. And did you happen to know that the building code changes every 3 years? And you want it. The reason the building code exists is to keep you safer. So that's something, and we got an offer of 50% above the value of our home, which I've never seen actually any company offer. I've seen 20%, which is pretty good. So obviously that was a standout. And then water damage, the one that we chose had 2.5 times more money offered above the value of the house for water damage. So that might be, let's say you had a 2-story, you had a hot water heater, just like over at the West, when that sprinkler broke, the whole interior of the upstairs and downstairs had to be done. So if you have a water heater that bursts, that's a big problem. The fifth thing that they ask for, or that they offered, this particular one that we were leaning to, ask if we had to get a monitored alarm system. It had to be for burglar and for fire. And so that cost us a little extra money, but I'll tell you about how that played out. The last thing that one of the two required, it wasn't an option, was that you were in a certified Firewise USA community. So as you'll see, this certificate is about OVA. It's Oakmont, the one at Oakmont. You should have a copy of that when you get ready to apply for home insurance. Being a certified Firewise USA community really matters. And OVA is one since, I think, 2018. And it has to be, qualifications for that have to be maintained yearly. Like OVA tracks hours of volunteers, dollars that they spend on our common space to keep it safer, any training that we do, and that keeps us certified the next year. And some places, some insurance companies that don't require a Firewise USA community might give you a discount for it because they know they're going to be a little safer trying to protect your home. So of the two offers, we chose the one that was $1,000 less, but required monitored alarm system, which cost us $3,500. But that was due to the size of the house. If your house is smaller, they wouldn't have required it. But the best deal saving money from the broker came from looking at our earthquake insurance policy. She found an earthquake insurance policy that's top rated. is 1/3 the cost of California earthquake policy. So I didn't even know there were other companies that offered earthquake insurance other than California because I hadn't been paying attention. So the final victory, I was so worried about the cost going up, really, because you hear, your costs are going to go up incredibly high, double, triple, whatever. Our final outcome of our cost, we look at our earthquake and insurance together as one number. We came out $400 less than we paid the previous year. And one of the ways that that happened is we got some other credits that I forgot to mention to the inspector that he found. One is we had an automatic gas shutoff at our gas turnoff that PG&E has. We got a credit for being a 40-year composition roof, which is called architectural grade. If you're going to get a new roof, and a lot of you are going to not volunteer but have to get a new roof if it's really old, get the 40-year, don't go for the 25-year because you're going to save a little money. The 40-year is also going to give you more protection. And then we got another discount for having interior fire sprinklers, which we had to have because of the remodel that we did. And they come to verify that. So that is really, it was such a relief for us. So let's go on to another why, as in why do we have a home insurance crisis in California nationwide? Let's review that. First of all, there was some deal making done between California and preferred admitted insurance companies. Part of it was to keep consumer prices down, people thinking, oh, the insurance companies are ripping us off. But part of it was in the 1960s, there was LA riots. How many people remember the 60s? Oh, yeah. And there was a big fire down south. So what California made a deal with the insurance companies, and this actually also was reinforced in Prop 103 in 1988. Now, these propositions that California has every year affect us. So you got to vote carefully on those things. But it sounds really good. Insurance Reduction and Reform Act. Oh boy, that's wonderful. Well, they're controlling the price that these insurance companies can add each year, but the insurance companies are losing money at this level. So for every dollar spent from premiums and from the insurance companies, they spent $1.13. Now, if you were in business and that was happening, what would you do? Would you ditch that client? Yeah. Ditch all of California? Probably. So I want to give you a quote from the losses it's very profound. 8 of the 10 largest wildfires in California have occurred since 2017. Losses incurred by California insurance companies show a staggering increase in 2016 that were $4 billion. But that doesn't compare to 2017 when it was $15 billion, followed by $13 billion in 2018. So a total of over $70 billion for the past decade insurance companies have lost. And Northern California, that's our part, accounts for more than 90% of that $70 billion. So, there's a reason they don't want to be here. But we got to find a way to make them stay. So the California Fair Plan was born in the 60s right after the LA riots and the big fire as a temporary fix until resolution could be reached to help the insurance companies willing to renew policies and issue new policies. Well, that fix hasn't really worked very well. That's why we're in this problem. There are 400,000 people in California on the temporary fix. They're overprescribed, which is not good. And they have the houses with the highest fire risk. So it's not a good investment for fortunately the state is doing this, but there's no company that would take all the worst homes and put them in offer insurance. So one of the things that the California Insurance Commissioner is working on is the insurance companies want to be able to raise their prices. And they want to be able to do not just the historical data, which is bad, by the way. They want to be able to do catastrophic modeling forward. And almost all states allow that, every state in the union except California. So they want that before they're going to step back in. And you can understand why if you were owning an insurance company. So let's go to the 3 doors that you're going to have to choose one to go through. There is a 3-page article in the back that I made copies of for those of you who want it, that's telling you, describing you all the details of these 3 doors that you are going to have to choose which one to go through. So the wraparound is the red door. That's the one that is the FAIR plan. And the wraparound means, oh, you're going to need more insurance than what the FAIR plan offers because they only offer fire, smoke, lightning, and internal explosion. And they're all related because smoke comes from fire, lightning causes fires, and internal explosion happens when your house gets too hot. So that's fire. And then you're going to need to cover other things besides fire, so you have a wraparound policy. And then the blue door is about if you're good enough, lucky enough to get renewed by some of what they call the admitted policies, the favorite policies, the preferred policies of California, the ones they made the deal with, Allstate, State Farm, Farmers, etc. We didn't have the availability to go through that door because I really checked it out in my research. But the non-admitted, the green door, I think is being underutilized. The non-admitted, non-preferred, at first it sounds so bad. You think, well, are they really good companies? Well, she mentioned, my broker said, well, what about Lloyd's of London? Have you heard of them? Anybody heard of Lloyd's of London? They probably have more financial health than the state of California. Of course, they're expensive, but there are other companies that are non-admitted, non-preferred, that are reasonable. And the reason they can afford to start coming in and grabbing some of these policies is they don't have thousands of policies here. And they can be picky about what they choose to insure to reduce their risk. So they're not part of the deal that California made. And they don't have all their eggs, most of their eggs in one basket over here in Northern California. And so don't forget to pick up that in the back. Pat Parson has it at the table. Okay, so that flyer I told you about, I think it's important. It explains in detail, which I can't go into now, the difference between the 3 doors. And then the next slide shows my personal advice before your next home insurance renewal is due, what I would recommend just based on what I learned. This is not OVA policy. I'm not here telling you what to do. I'm just telling you my advice based on what I went through. And what I've learned as a FireWise assessor, I actually did 2 more days of CAL FIRE assessment training along with Jeff and Pat and a couple of other people just 2 weeks ago. So what we want to know is, where are the requirements of the insurance companies moving toward? What are they going to start requiring now that they're aware they can lose their shirt and have lost their shirt? So the nonprofit IBHS, which is the Institute for Business and Home Safety, it's a nonprofit that is paid for, pay attention, by the insurance companies, because they want to know what is the fire scientists, what are they figuring out is causing these homes to burn? Because that's what they're going to be against. So IBHS has just come out in the past year or so with a certification called Wildfire Safe Home. And there is one home in Oakmont that has passed that, and that is the house at the top of Trail Ridge that went down to the ground. And I had helped them get it back up by just being their owner rep with, because they didn't live here when they had the house burnt down. They didn't know anybody. But she had afterwards put some wooden gates next to the house, even though the house was made of hardy siding. And, I didn't know anything about that she had done that. And then a couple of other things. Some plants had grown into the 5-foot zone. They'd gotten big. So she only had to do like 2 or 3 little things. She had to move her garbage cans further from the house because the enclosure was made of wood, which was done again after I left. So this certification is a very high standard. I am almost there at our house, but not quite. So, but I'm just saying they're going for a high bar. They're not going to do it all at once, but they're going to start moving in that direction. I'm telling you, because if you're going to plant things, if you're going to build an addition, if you're going to do anything to your home, make sure it's a firewise step to where the standards are moving, because you don't want to have to redo it or pull it out. So, in a perfect world, did anybody see this PG&E ad in the paper 2 weeks ago? Full page spread. So let me ask you, do you see any plants in that 0 to 5 zone? Any at all? If you do, you need to have your glasses checked. Okay, so PG&E put this out. This is what I'm describing as a perfect world. This is where they want to move to. And CAL FIRE is what has told us the same thing. And Fire Safe Sonoma has told us the same thing. PG&E has told us this. So this is where it's going. And I know that we're in love with our plants. I just wanted to mention, think about this. The standard, especially since the 50s, has been, let's put a big bush in front of this window so nobody can see in, and I can't see out. How logical is that? And it's going to help burn your house down. If you moved it 5 foot out, you'd be able to see the plant. You could buy a blind for inside, fixed. So we have to change our thinking. This is a new century. This is a new climate. And we have to be able to face that and adapt to it. So a lot of people wonder, well, what's so important about the 5-foot zone? Let's use a baseball analogy. If this is this description, allowing combustibles, things that can burn, like plants, other things that you might leave alongside your house, allowing combustibles in zone 0 is like starting every inning of a baseball game with a runner on third base trying to get home. So that analogy just lets people know this is the advantage you don't want to give a fire. Okay, so why does IBHS want only non-combustible in the 5-foot zone? Because it's not the same as non-flammable. Non-flammable is a step down. It's still good. It's better than wood, but non-combustible can take twice the heat that non-flammable can take before it fails. And it will fail if it gets enough heat. The fire, when we were doing our studies at CAL FIRE 2 weeks ago, they have a piece of a metal column from the building from 2001 that was contorted. And they've got it kind of as a reminder of how important their job is. But you'll see in this picture here that 6-inch, what IBHS is saying, Phil, this is for you. What IBH is saying is that they want 6 inches of non-combustible siding within anything that touches the ground or the sidewalk. They want that part to be non-combustible. So one of the ways and things that they will approve, if you look at the other slide over here, that's our house. I put a 7-inch hardy, thin, is made of concrete, horizontal, painted it the color. But the problem with a lot of our homes here is we have that T111 siding, which is the plywood with grooves. And wouldn't those embers flying around just love to get behind one of those grooves and just kind of, grow? So, and you can't, the other problem as a builder that I know, and I was warned by IBHS, you cannot just cut that part off and stick that on there, because that plywood is your shear wall. And the shear wall keeps the house from folding in an earthquake. And so they have nails usually every 5 inches. And if you cut it off, then you've compromised your ability to take an earthquake. So you have to put it on top. Now, if you have horizontal siding, like some of you lucky people do, it's going to be much easier. You don't have to deal with the grooves. So what we did is we got just a standard aluminum L, and I called my engineer and I said, can I do a little kerf cut? Just a little kerf cut to get back to that back side of that groove so that that will protect any embers from going back there. So you'll see there's a metal L on top of that, and you have to do a little saw cut without cutting all the way through. Now, the other problem is, it's not just the siding, it's the trim. You see the corner there? The trim also has to be 6-inch non-combustible. Here is a hardy board made of concrete, cutting that. And the reason you want it to be thicker than the piece that's coming to it is you don't want it to look like a mistake. They ran short on and so what we did is, it's called a plinth block, where you make it a little proud and it looks like an architectural detail. Oh, so lovely. So that's what we've done. The other thing I wanted to say, that Trex and AZAC and vinyl and Class A woods are non-flammable, but IBHS doesn't consider them non-combustible. However, they would love it, and they will approve a deck made of Trex or AZAC on top, because they know that's better than wood, but they won't approve any Class A wood that's attached on their certification. I'm just saying that's what their certification standards are. So, and AZAC, by the way, has a section. Trex is always Class B. That means a fire rating. You want Class A if you can get it, and AZAC has a whole section. Not all of AZAC is Class A, but part of it is. So if you're going to change, I would recommend that. Okay. Now, let's talk about what really is the 5-foot zone. What is the legal definition? Well, guess what? There is no legal definition. So that leaves a lot of room for inspectors to vary on their opinions. So, and remember that the fire science laws are moving. So we're in a really big transition. But Jeff Newman did a wonderful blow up here, bubble drawing, of how he sees the 5-foot zone. 5 foot from the walls is typically what they say. But suppose you have an overhang that's 3 feet wide or more than 2 feet. That would move it out actually further. So if you're going to change your fences and gates, which we call the dynamite fuse, right to your house, go ahead and go out 8 feet or 6 feet, or just get a little more, because IBHS is requiring the 5-foot starts. If you're more than 24 inches, it starts at the edge of the eave. So here's another example on your 5-foot zone changes if you have a wooden deck attached to the house. You can see Jeff's bubble drawing here. That's a little bit of a problem. So what you can do is change the deck boards, and the other thing you want to do is enclose the bottom so embers can't get underneath. And his solution, another thing you can do, is change the part that's closest to your house. I have some simpler solutions for that, but that's just one option. There's lots of ways to do this. And then the next 5-foot zone, where does it start? Most people, how many people have trellises attached to their house or within the 5-foot zone? Yeah. So I do too. I have 2 of them. Lucky me. So I knew the inspector was coming, and I knew that, and also when they inspect, if they find something that they want you to change, guess how much time you have to change it? 30 days, the famous 30 days. How many contractors are going to be asked to come over and fix this? and get the supplies, everything, get architectural approval, et cetera. How many, that's going to take more than 30 days. So you got to be proactive. So I have a suggestion and show you what we did. Um, some people say, well, just take the trellis down. Well, when you're a designer, you can't just like strip everything away from the house. That makes it kind of special. So I wanted to think out of the box. I love thinking about how you can take standard products and use them in an unusual way. So this trellis on that side, the one over the garage, it has, what we've done is we've wrapped all of the structural pieces with this, because this is non-combustible. So there's no ember that can get to that structural wood. And if you try to take it out and redo it, it's going to be a huge cost because these structural pieces are in the roof. You'd have to redo the roof. I mean, it's a mess. So that was the creative solution we came up with. But the 2x4s on top, which were very split, by the way, after 7 years of direct sun, it's a lot of work to wrap 2x4s. And the other thing is it would add to the weight. And this garage doesn't have any post holding up that, the roof is what's holding that up. So this was Bob O'Brien's idea. He's so smart. He said, let's do downspouts. So those 2x4s that you see up there are downspouts, painted brown, with caps on each end. The inspector loved it. He even wrote it down. He thought that was brilliant. I have to attribute that to Bob. And then on the front door part of that trellis, the reason I wrapped the post in steel, this is a picture showing they're not painted yet, is because there's a lot of stuff that goes in and out of the house, like furniture and stuff. And Trex, if you took a piece of this long and you did this to it, it'll break. It's brittle. And I don't want chips on that, so we did metal. And it is the structural part of that trellis. So also, let me show you another. Well, I have other things, but I decided to not go over them here. I want to move on to, if you anticipate cancellation at the end of your current policy, this is my advice, it's my personal advice, is to get a reliable, experienced broker to help you. And a broker, in some ways, like a general contractor. They have a job and they get 3 bids from the plumber, 3 bids from the electrician, 3 bids from the AV, and they pick the best one for your house and your conditions and the best price. So the broker is going to go out. They're not married to State Farm or Farmers. They are going to go out and find what's the best offer they can get you. And most people who own commercial companies or commercial buildings always have a broker because the commercial rates and stuff are changing all the time. So and I was going to say that some brokers don't cover. There's a really good broker local here that doesn't cover non-admitted. She doesn't have access to them. So you need to find somebody who has access to the entire home insurance market. And then you want to research your admitted, non-admitted, and wraparound choices, which is back there for you. The third thing you want to do is increase your home insurance budget because you're probably going to end up paying some more, and not just for the policy, because you're going to have to do more mitigation. And roofs are the first thing that they're going to go after. They can do that without doing a site inspection. They just send a little thing out there taking a picture. And the fourth thing is you've got to have home insurance. You do not self-insure, Virginia, not unless you're Stanford University. Then you could self-insure. You got enough money in the bank, but you can't buy a house or sell a house without home insurance. The mortgage company wants you to have home insurance. So those are the things you need to think about. Now, if you're going to shop for a new policy, you're going to enter what I call the dating game. How long has it been since you've been on a date with somebody new? That's what it's like. I can't remember. It's been too long. But you have to find the right policy with your house. Everybody's house conditions are different. So the other thing you want to think about in the dating game is, does my house look better than those houses over there? Oh, they're going to insure me. So you want to stay ahead. And the other thing that some of these brokers have said that they were controlled by the corporate saying I can only accept 2 a month. So they're going to pick the best two to offer. Now, that's not the case with everyone, but I'm just saying this is what I have heard from some of the brokers. So another thing you need to think about is there is a free Firewise assessment offered here at Oakmont for every individual home. There are people making lots of dollars coming out here and charging you for that. We have trained assessors who are volunteering to do this for you. You get a written assessment with pictures, they help you prioritize, and they're not reporting you to the architectural committee. No, so don't be worried about that. All we want is for you to make your home safer and for you not to have to go through what some of people here have already gone through. And so I have one more slide of comments, what not to do. Don't panic and be proactive. Don't get too attached to your agent. It's not your boyfriend. It's not your girlfriend. It's not your husband. You need to go out to the market. You're going to have to date. And don't keep your head in the sand. This can happen to you. Your home is worth saving. And it's worth saving financially and emotionally. You don't want to go through that trauma. And as Michelle Obama recently said, you know this is important, so do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Iris. Iris, the handouts in the back, will we also, do you have something we can put on, post on our site that you can also access them through our
Yes,
site?
yes.
Okay. Isn't that a good idea? Okay, so we're going to go to question and answer.
I have the first question.
Go ahead, Lynn.
In really simple language, could you explain the difference between admitted, non-admitted, wraparound, really simple language?
Well, as I said, that the wraparound is you are stuck with the FAIR plan, and then you get an additional policy to support what it doesn't cover. The admitted are the ones that have been our favorites for years and are California's favorites. And they are controlled by the state about how much they can raise each year, which is why they have pulled out. And the non-admitted are the ones that don't have that deal with California. They still have, you check to make sure they have a A+ financial rating. Most of them do. A broker's not going to give you something that has a C- financial rating. They wouldn't do that. So they are the ones that are willing to come into the market where these voids are. Does that help you? Okay, good. Choose the green door.
So Zillow says my house is worth $800,000 or whatever it is. So let's just go with that.
Okay, have you done any improvements?
Not yet, but
Are you
that's
going
gonna
to?
happen. Well,
yeah.
my question is, whatever my house value is, how do I determine the replacement value? Or do I just go with the house value, which includes the property and all that?
You can get an idea from the broker. They have their opinions. You can call a contractor. Often when I was in my company, we would have people call and say, can you give me an alternate cost to my house? Because we knew their house and the quality of the materials, for instance. Or if you have an elevator, I mean, if you just do a square foot cost, does that include an elevator? Probably not. I used to tell people I could build a bathroom out away from their house that they'd have to walk to cheaper than trying to add a bathroom in an existing house. It's just easy. So there's so many conditions, but you can get information from the broker. You can get information from a contractor you might know. You might ask Jeannie. Yes. Well, yeah, I can't endorse a company, but I can talk to you about ways. I have the names of several that I've been looking at, not just listening to. They're out there.
Iris,
Yes.
about half of Oakmont's in sub-HOAs.
Yeah.
And at least in ours, and I think a number of others, the primary fire insurance is by the sub-HOA.
Right.
Okay, can you comment at all on that?
I can. I have an opinion, as you might be surprised to hear. I know of 2 HOAs who have taken the paying for home insurance by the whole sub-HOA back, put it back to the individual homes so that they could reduce their dues and so that insurance company would be more interested. Because if you have, even if you had 9 homes and they all had different policies, different companies, that's safer for the insurance company. Think about the insurance company. If your house goes down, probably the neighbor's house is going to go down. And if you're insuring all 9 together, like, think about the coffee park, that everything exploded right around it. I would recommend that the sub-HOAs look into taking that out and putting it individual so that insurance companies would be more comfortable and they would be more dispersed in terms of responsibility. And two HOAs have done that very successfully.
Do-
Yeah,
Here, I'm right here. Does the broker charge a fee?
I think that they get a percentage of they have to make money some way, so I'm sure that that's built in.
Iris?
Yes.
Hi, this is Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Hi,
Oh,
hi.
Mr.
Excellent
Firewise
presentation.
himself.
Yeah, excellent presentation. Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much. Correct me on this, though. On the admitted and unadmitted insurance companies in the state of California, my understanding is the admitted companies, if they go bankrupt, the state of California will cover your losses.
Correct.
If you're a non-admitted company,
They will
the
not.
state of California won't. So just enter that into the equation.
Yeah,
Did your
yeah.
broker talk to you about that at all?
Yes, she gave me that 3-page thing for me to study. And she said, I'm only going to bring you A+ financially backed companies. And that's what you want to make sure of. Yes.
Yes. Is there any information regarding where the state is at in terms of moving forward with working on resolving this? I hear little pieces come out of
Yeah.
Sacramento. I've actually written to Newsom and our state representative about them
Right.
pushing the insurance commission to do something
Right.
instead of keep saying, oh, the end of the year or March or,
Yeah.
and nothing happens.
Okay, so I'll give you the remark that I got from my broker last week. In April, she thought by 2025 this would be resolved because of what the state commissioner and the state is doing. She doesn't think that way anymore. She thinks 2025 is still going to be chaotic. And you know how long it takes things to change at the state level. So, and think about any prep that you're doing is going to help you in the long run. The ultimate goal is to save your house. Yeah. Go ahead. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to mention is that I asked the broker, are we going to have the same insurance company next year? And she said, well, I don't know yet. And I don't know yet because the non-admitted can only look at your house if you have been turned down by the admitted. Now, they don't have to prove that you've been turned down right now because there's a moratorium on, dozen of them. So they don't have to show, oh, this one turned it down, this one turned it down. And the broker handles that. You do not have to go out and look for, so we don't know what we're going to have next year on whether or not we're going to be admitted or my old boyfriend's going to call me back. I don't know. Yes.
Hi, this may seem obvious, but I was told by our broker who insures lots of homes in Oakmont that the rates are not just zip code specific, they're almost street specific. And for example, if your home is up in the hills in the
Yeah.
trees, your rates are going to be a lot higher than if you live on the golf course. Is that what you heard?
Well, what I heard that it's rather arbitrary depending on how many clusters. But my neighbor who is here and the one behind me got renewed about a month before this corporate decision came down, and mine didn't get renewed. And we're all 3 in the WUI, right at the front edge of it. So I think it's more of a crapshoot myself.
Hi, Harris. You know, I've been in your home 3 or 4 times, and I just hope your safe box is safe.
My what?
Your safe box with your records,
Oh,
your locks box, your safe,
uh-huh.
wherever you keep your valuable records. Because a cardiologist from India lost his home. He's a Santa Rosa cardiologist.
Mm-hmm.
Lost his home to the ground in the Fountain Grove fire. And in the home, he had a safe. And in his safe, he had a letter from Mother Teresa. He had saved her life as a young doctor in India. And he cherished the letter. And wherever it was in a safe that he assumed was safe, when he opened the safe after the fire, the letter was ashes.
Yeah.
So is your safe box safe? I can't imagine where it would be, but it's
I don't have
for
a
those
safe
in
box.
the audience.
I don't have a safe box. We have put stuff in the lockbox that we have at the bank. We have put stuff in the cloud. And we take stuff when we evacuate. We have a list, money, checkbooks, policies, and run out the door. Huh? It's not a safe. But it is more safe with us than it is leaving. Metal can melt. And if it's a metal safe box is not enough in a severe fire.
Oh, hello. My daughter has Fair Play plus something else.
Uh-huh.
She was
Wraparound.
desperate. And you said you don't like Fair Play. Could you say more about that and why I saw the word temporary
Well,
there? What it is?
Well, because it only covers one thing, and also it's expensive. And the second thing is, to me, you have two policies together, and they're different entities and different ownership. What if this one says, I thought you were covering this? No, it's an explosion, you're covering this. Well, the fire caused it, you're covering this. So it's not integrated. And also you have to, I just don't think if you have to do it, you have to do it. But I don't like it.
Hi, Iris. Do you know the differences between alarm companies, like Simple Safe versus a more legitimate corporate alarm company?
The only advice that I got from the broker about, alarm systems, burglar people, is that she felt the local companies were better than the big names. And Simply Safe does work, but you'd have to ask if they would accept that one, because I don't know if I don't know if that one would or would not be accepted, but it's possible.
Iris, I'm living on a fixed income.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of extra money to invest in upgrading my home to make it really
Yeah.
fire resistant.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say the top 5 things that you think are most critical to spend money upgrading?
Yes. Do you have any plants in your 0 to 5?
I do.
Okay. True confession here. How much do you love them?
Oh, they're going to go pretty quick.
Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing, the top thing that they're looking for is the roof, is it is in passable condition. And you can get an inspection of your existing roof from your roofer and have that to send to the insurance company. So that could justify keeping the roof that you have. The other thing that I read that they're focusing on, if your house was built in the 80s, do you have knob and tube electrical? You know what knob and tube is?
No.
It's like this little wire that rats can eat that is on a ceramic little thing, and it runs through your house in the attic to get down. And now they're using, metal cable with the wire in it. And so they consider that. A lot of insurance companies are looking at that because electrical causes fires. If a rat eats that piece of, wire, then it could cause a fire. So and the other thing they're looking at, how old is the plumbing? Is the plumbing, galvanized, old galvanized pipe, or has it been updated? So you asked for 5. I'm just, But, oh, that's 4. Okay. Let's see, what's the next one? I can't remember.
How about vents?
Oh, the vents. Oh, absolutely. You've got to fix your vents. Yes, that vent covers on the foundation, on the eaves, and in your gables. The other thing is some people have cathedral ceilings, so they don't have much of an attic, but they have something in the roof that's called an eyebrow vent. And the old ones are this big of an opening. And you either need to put something in there or get a new one that's fire rated that has the smaller holes, especially some of the older homes I've seen in the sub HOAs over here on White Oak. I've seen that. Oh, gutter guards are critical. That's the 5th thing, gutter guards. And I know there are people here who say, well, I don't have any trees near my house, over my house. Well, your neighbor's leaves are going to get in there. And these embers and burning things can fly 1.5 miles. So embers, I mean, that was one of the things he checked when the inspection came, was gutter guards. And they're not expensive. You can get don't buy the expensive ones, get metal ones that you can get from Home Depot. Handyman, put them in. It's fine. You don't have to get, there's some heavy marketing done now with a huge cost for putting in gutter guards. That's totally unnecessary.
Hi. Hi, Iris.
Hi.
Thanks.
You want me to take a Tai Chi position?
Oh, sorry about that.
She's our
Is that better? Thank you.
I don't know them.
I'm not good with microphones. So I also want to say on those vents, you don't have to buy the expensive ones necessarily. You can
Yes.
use the 16-inch
Oh,
mesh.
yeah.
In addition to what's already there, you can just put them behind. You can, Fire Safe Marin has a really good article on that
Yeah.
if you want. But my question is there not 2 different certifications with IBHS? That,
Yes,
like
yes. One is called, let's see, Basic.
Right.
And I think actually Basic should be a B+. And the other one is something called Plus, I think. And they want, when you buy new windows, they don't want vinyl, for one thing, that both of the 2 pieces of glass are tempered on both sides, that both of them are. Mostly, you only get tempered glass if it's close to a windows close to a door. They require it, but if it's not, so if you buy any new windows, but let me go back to the 16th inch. There has been a correction in thought about that. That's for older homes that have the 1/4 inch, which is what is standard. If you put 16th inch over it, there's 2 problems. It reduces the amount of flow of ventilation that it could cause mold inside. And the second thing is, if you have any painting done, the paint hits it and just blocks several of those. So 1/8 of an inch is what everybody has settled on, even though they went to 16th inch, now they're back to 1/8 inch. I told you it's moving. But ventilation is really important. And you're right, you can get 1/8 inch roll, and you can get inexpensive ones and have them installed. The other thing is if you have existing ones that are hard to pull out, they're not top mounted, they're like built into behind you can just cut the wire out and then top mount something on it. That way you're not over reducing the ventilation, and so you cut out the 1/4 inch, leave that base in there. Yeah. Vulcan vents are good. They are top, they're top rated. However, what happens when the fire happens, they're going to close up, which is good, but you're going to come back. Hopefully your insurance is going to pay for new vents because they will have to be changed. Because there's a honeycomb behind it that expands and keeps anything from coming in. There's less expensive ways to do it.
At the beginning, you talked about,
Closer.
you talked about your house that is a large house.
Uh-huh.
What is the definition of large? When does the house go from a regular house to a large house?
I think that varies per insurance company. You don't want to decide that yours is large or not. You want to find out if they tell you if it's large, because they're going to ask you for the square footage. And if you had plans, for those of you who've done anything, we had our plans from 2016 when we came, and they wanted a picture of that to confirm the square footage that we had reported.
Oh,
Hello.
Hi, neighbor.
Yes, your neighbor. And I'm barely standing after this talk. It's like, oh my God.
Don't panic.
It's a house built in 1968.
Mhm.
I shudder. to
Just your
see-
5-foot zone, and you have vents, remember that?
Yes, well, they all peeled
Uh-oh.
off, so
That-
most of them.
We should
anyway.
get you some vents.
And, but, like where, where do I start?
You start
It's
in the
like,
5-foot zone as soon as you come out of the house.
and that's the fence, and
That's the fence and gate.
It's
That's
the trees, like a
Yes.
40-foot tree.
Well, you
that's-
don't have to cut down a 40-foot tree if you can keep it 10 feet above your roof, and it's not, the trunk is not in the 5-foot zone.
It is.
I have a big oak,
well,
but it's further out, and we had to prune it to keep it clear.
Well, this is just the start, right?
Okay. Well, I'll talk to
I'm
you privately.
overwhelmed. Yes,
I'll
thank
talk to you
so
privately and
much
help
for
you.
this,
Marilyn is my neighbor.
I have a question, Iris, I just quickly, I had the Firewise inspection. It's wonderful. I highly recommend it. Pat did, and one of the things she pointed out was the vent outside or outside your dryer.
Yes.
And replacing that. What would you say something about that? Because
Yeah.
that's something we can go to the hardware store and take
Yeah.
care of, I believe.
First of all, if you ever have to get a new dryer, they make dryers that don't vent outside the wall. They have a vent, they have 2 vents inside that you clean. And that's good because you don't have to worry about it clogging up. Over time, the ones that go out the house, there's all this lint that's just in a ball, which people who are Firewise assessors, if they go camping, they'll pull it out and take it to start their campfire. And one of the reasons that the appliance companies have stopped making those or moving away from it is because they've had so many insurance claims from fires because it was clogged and the fire embers came in and nestled in that. You have to have them cleaned out, and you need to have something that automatically shuts. And if what automatically shuts is plastic, it's not going to last very long in a high heat. So that's something a handyman can handle. Handy woman also, there are some of those.
Hey, Iris.
Hi.
We have been looking around for fencing or just the gates near our house because of that wick aspect.
Yeah.
And finding metal gates and metal fencing has not been very easy for us. You find it, but it's not privacy. Like, I don't want to open up my gates and let the whole world look in my yard.
You
and-
can get some private, I have some privacy, but talk to me afterwards and I can
Okay.
show you where you can find that online.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
Just a quick question, and I'm sure probably can find it online. Is there a list of the admitted companies?
I didn't look for that. I just know it's the ones that that we all know the name of. And so I can't really. Oh, if you look, okay, if you look online for the state insurance office and ask them, you'll probably find it online.
In our last question,
And it
Bernie?
wouldn't hurt for you to call your insurance agent and say, how does 2025 look for me? Yeah, I mean, be proactive. I know you feel like it's poking the bear, maybe if I remind them, but you need to know in advance.
Bernie?
Yeah, I have a question about the heritage oak trees, the big,
Yes.
beautiful ones.
Yes.
We have some in our association that
Yeah.
either overhang homes.
Yeah.
They're a good 10 feet high.
Yeah.
Higher than the roof.
Yeah, that's good.
But they are technically an ability to catch fire and transmit that fire to the house.
As long as there's a certain distance, you keep it pruned and the trunk is not in the 5-foot zone. I have 2 oaks in my backyard and, I pointed out to the inspector, see, there's 10 feet between the roof here and that first leaf. So you have to protect those oaks.
That's right. And that's the part of the question is will the city let you cut a lot of those to within 10, outside
Only,
of-
I mean, you could get an exception if you had, if the insurance company said so, I guess, but you'd have to ask the city. I don't know. But I don't feel like you have to go out and cut all your trees. I don't want to see on next door tomorrow that Iris said you got to take all your plants out, cut all your trees. That's not true. Just telling you right here. Yeah.
Wait.
How's that? Okay, so I work at Prickett's, and it's a locally owned, woman-owned nursery, and we are all very knowledgeable about Firewise planting. We have the Oakmont Do Not Plant list. We advise people all the time. Please come in if you want to see me. I'm there Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm Vicky. Vicky, just ask for Vicky. I'm the only one from Oakmont. And they always send you guys to me. But at any rate, it's not really an advertisement. We really are there to help. We can help you be creative with your design and still be very, very fire safe and beautiful.
And I do have a lot of plants at my house. So it's not like it's a bare, my neighbor has bare rock and dirt, but I don't. So there's a way to make it look attractive.
Do you have an opinion about artificial turf?
Well, I know that IBHS does not allow artificial turf in the 5-foot zone. After that, it's okay.
We want to thank Iris for doing a very timely
Thank you.
presentation. I want to let you know the handouts are all gone, but we'll get some posted on our website, which is oakmontsymposium.org. Give us a couple days to get that all up and running for you. And we'll see if we can send this over to the OVA and see if they want to pull any of those handouts out for you and put it on another site. We'll see you next Sunday for Julie Atwood and the Halter Project and taking care of our little pets. I'll see you then.